Hello everyone. Today we'll see problems based on test of significance of sample mean. In this, first we have to understand the problem thoroughly and then try to take the data that is given in the problem, fix the hypothesis, that is the null hypothesis and the alternate hypothesis, then decide whether it's going to be a one tail or two tail test. For all the problems, this is the procedure. In the last class, we did probable limits. So, probable limits, it's a direct formula application. So, hereafter, you have to think a lot before you start a problem. Okay, I repeat the procedure. First, try to understand the problem, then write the hypothesis, then write the alternate hypothesis. When I say hypothesis, first one is null, the second one is opposite. When you write null hypothesis and alternate hypothesis, then you can decide whether it's going to be a one tail test or a two tail test, and then write down the given data, and the formulas also slightly changes from one problem to another problem in this type, and then you have to apply the formula. Applying the formula, it takes 1 or 2 minutes to write down the answer. So thinking process is more in this problem. Okay. So I'll read the question. A manufacturer claimed that at least 95% of the equipment which he supplied to a factory conformed to specifications. An examination of a sample of 200 pieces of equipment revealed that 18 of them were faulty. Test his claim at a significance of 1% and 5%. Okay, so I just want to tell you about 1% and 5%. Already I told you. So this is the curve. Whether we are going to do one tail or two tail. If this falls within the region, if it's a two tail, we'll check on both the sides. If it's a one tail, we'll check on only one side. So this is 95% is the region where we will not reject the hypothesis. So if the answer falls outside the region, we'll reject the hypothesis. Here this is 99% acceptance. So that is what they have given. This is 1% significance level and this is 5% significance level. They are asking you to check in both. Okay, so this is the thing about 1%, 5%. We have seen this. Now what this fellow is claiming, it's like imagine that he is selling some room heaters or whatever it is. So in that equipment, he is saying 95% are conform to specifications. But we are taking 200 sample pieces of those room heaters and we found that 18 of them were faulty. Now we have to check with the given data sample that his claim is correct or not. Okay, very simple. So first of all, we have to fix the hypothesis, that is null hypothesis. As always, null hypothesis, we will take that everything is correct and then we'll assume that things are fine and then we'll check later. Okay, so now as I told you, we'll assume that things are fine. So the null hypothesis H naught, we are taking that his claim is correct. What is his claim? 95% is correct, conform to specification. 95% is nothing but 95 by 100, so I have written 0.95. Okay, what is the alternate hypothesis? The alternate hypothesis, listen carefully. We are going to write this probability less than 0.95. Why we are not writing probability greater than 0.95? If it is greater than 0.95, it is like 96% are good, 97% are good, conform to specification. Then in that case, his claim is correct only. This fellow said that 95% of the equipment confirmed. So 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, even 100% also. In that case, his claim is going to be correct. So we have to check whether his claim is correct or not. So in that case, if it's less than 0.95, then his claim is false. So we are checking on only one side. So this we call it as a one tail test. So if you remember in the first class, one sec, I'll show that problem. This was the problem I was talking about. I'll just read that problem that we did in the previous class. The results extracts reveal that in a certain school over a period of 5 years, 725 students passed, 615 students failed. Test the hypothesis that success and failure are equal in proportions. How we will write the null hypothesis? Null hypothesis means H naught. I am saying that he has given the hypothesis itself. Success and failure are equal. So what is opposite to that? Success not equal to failure. So here we have two cases, correct? If success less than failure also, this means the same. If success greater than failure also, it is not equal. So this not equal is splitting into two. One is less than, one is greater than. That is why we use two-tail test. So when we compare the value, we compared with last 2.58. 2.58 and 1.96, these are the values from two-tail test. But now in this problem, we are going to use one-tail test. So we are not going to compare the final value with 1.96 and 2.58. That is why I told you hypothesis, fixing the hypothesis and fixing the null hypothesis is very, very important, because that is going to decide whether it's going to be a one-tail or two-tail test. Remember the values that I have given you for one-tail and two-tail test. So if I say that the coin is unbiased, another example I am saying, not this problem. I am saying that we are tossing coins 500 times and I am saying it's unbiased. So number of heads will be equal to number of tail, right, if it's unbiased. So it can be less than or it can be greater than. In both the ways it is not equal, so we'll use two-tail test in those problems. But here in this problem he said 95% or conform to specification. So above 95 also is going to make his claim correct. So we are concentrating only less than 95%. So P less than 0.95. So after this is easy. P is the probability of success, because we assume that the probability of equipment supplied or conformed to specification. So P is 95%, so 0.95. Q is 1 minus P. 1 minus 0.95 is 0.05. So we have written the data. We have written what do you mean by null hypothesis. We have written what do you mean by an alternate hypothesis. And we decided that it's going to be a one-tail test. This is very, very, very important. Now we'll move to the formula. Yeah. Actually, this sampling is more tricky than probability problems. That is probability distribution, what is given in your syllabus, than distribution. This is little tricky. You have to think a lot, and solving a problem takes hardly 2 minutes to solve it. Okay. So we decided that we are going for only one-tail test. That is what I have written. If P is greater than 0.95, still the hypothesis is true. So we are checking only for P less than 0.95. So we are choosing one-tail test. This is done. Okay. So now coming to the formula. So when you write the formula, you will write Z is equal to X minus mu by sigma. Correct? Same thing. But in the numerator, when we write X minus mu, it is the difference between the values. Correct? So mu first we will find out. Mu is equal to NP. Same formula. N is 200 sample we are checking, right? We are checking from 200 samples. So 200 into P is 0.95. We got 190. Okay. And sigma is root of NPQ. So N is 200, P is 0.95, Q is 0.05. So we got 3.082. Okay. So once we got this value sigma 3.082, we have to fix the difference. That is what we have to write in the numerator. This mu is 190 and the actual number of equipments that are correct up to the specifications are 182. How? Because 18 are faulty out of 200. So 200 minus 18 will give you 182. We are talking about correct number of equipments, right? So here this one is 190, but what actually happened in the 200 sample? 18 are faulty. So 200 minus 18 is 182 is the actual number. So in the numerator we will write down the difference. What is the difference? 190 minus 182, that is 8. So Z is equal to x minus mu by root of npq. So the difference I'm writing 8 divided by npq, just now we got it, right? Sigma 3.082, we are getting 2.6. Now we got the value, and I hope you'll remember that we are doing a one tail test. So what is the critical value for one tail test at 5% and 1%? For 5% it is 1.645. Okay, the critical value. This 2.6 is greater than 1.645, correct? So in that case it goes outside the region. One sec. Yeah, this 2.6 is greater than the critical value, that is 1.645. So it goes outside the region. It is not correct at this 5% level. Let us see in a 1% level. What is the value that we have to compare? 2.33, correct? In two tail it was 1.96 and 2.58. In one tail it is 1.645 and 2.33. So 2.6 is greater than 2.33 at 1%. So in both the values this is greater than. So it is not falling inside the region at all. So the claim of the manufacturer is rejected. We are rejecting because he said up to 95% and it is falling outside. So we are rejecting his claim at 5% as well as 1% level with respect to one tail test. Okay. So now we'll see one more problem and let us try to understand. So please remember carefully, Z is nothing but the difference divided by sigma in this sample of mean. Yeah. Now we'll see one more problem. It has been found that the mean breaking strength of a particular brand of a thread is 275.6 grams with standard deviation. If you see the previous problem and this problem, standard deviation is given. So there will be a slight change in the formula. Okay. So this is the clue. When you read it, standard deviation is there, there will be a slight change. Okay. So they have given the mean and standard deviation. Recently, a sample of 36 pieces of thread showed a mean breaking strength of 253.2 grams. So this is a general one. He is saying that in general the mean breaking strength of a particular brand of thread is this with standard deviation. But when they are checking sample of 36 pieces, the thread showed a mean breaking strength of 253.2 grams. Now the question is, can one conclude at a significance level of 0.05 and 0.01, at both level they have asked, that the thread has become inferior? If you see this word, this is very important. Thread has become inferior. Now how you will fix the null hypothesis? Think for a second. So when they said inferior, we will first fix the hypothesis that the mean is going to be, the mean mu is 275.6. Okay, that is going to be the mean breaking strength. So in the given question, they have given that the mean breaking strength is 275.6. So I have taken mean mu is equal to 275.6. This is the mean breaking strength. So how you will fix the alternate hypothesis? I am saying that it is not, correct? When I say it is not, it can be less than or it can be greater than. But what is given in the question? Thread has become inferior. It means the strength is going to be less than this. So I will write only 1. So mu less than 275.6. So this is it means inferior breaking strength. So we are going to check on only one side. So we are going to find one tail test. So in general, if they ask, if this word is not given, then I will write mu not equal to 275.6 is the alternate hypothesis. Then I will go for a two-tail test. Since they have given inferior, so we are checking only for mu less than 275.6. If it is greater than that, then in that case also, this or more than that is not going to become an inferior one. Inferior means less than that. So mu less than 275.6 is the alternate hypothesis. So we have decided to do one tail test. So once we have decided to do one tail test, what we will write first, we will find the difference, correct? So for 36 pieces, the mean breaking strength is, they have given 253.2. Therefore, we are taking the difference between the given mean mu and this mean. So 275.6 minus 253.2. So we are getting this. Now you may ask another doubt. Actually, you may get another doubt. You should. Can we write this value in the beginning and this value in the at the second value, the next one? So always write the bigger value, because we will take the modulus, because we are checking the modulus value. So 275.6 minus 253.2. So we are getting 22.4. Even if you subtract it the other way, you will get a negative value. In the negative value, in the normal distribution, if you remember, this side and that side are same. So automatically 0 to minus 1 is same as 0 to 1. So we'll check on the positive side. So it's easy to check the values on the positive side. So 275.6 minus 253.2, this is the numerator. N is the sample size 36 and sigma they have given 39.7. Now we have to write down the formula. This formula is going to be slightly different. Yeah, this is the formula. That is Z is equal to x bar minus mu by sigma by root n. When we have the standard deviation, we will take this formula. So x bar minus mu is the numerator. Numerator is the same. Denominator is sigma by root n. So the difference is 22.4 divided by 39.7 divided by root n. So we have total n sample size 36. So we'll take, so this n is 36. So root n is 6. So we are getting this value 3.38. Since it's a one tail test, at 5% we will check for 1.645, same as the previous problem, this value. And in the second one, 2.33 at 1%. Both the value, this is greater. So it means it's outside the region. So we reject the null hypothesis. So H1 we are accepting at both these two levels. So this is another problem. So now what is the difference? In the previous one, we will write x minus mu by root of NPQ, that is sigma. But in this problem, we will write down this formula because the first class, if you remember, I have mentioned standard, normal, variate. We use this formula only, z is equal to x bar minus mu by sigma by root n. From this only we have derived the probable limits and all those things. So this is what, whenever sigma is there, we will use this. So numerator is the difference between the means and the denominator is sigma by root n. If standard deviation is given, we will use this. Or else we will write x minus mu, that is the difference in the numerator, divided by root of NPQ in the denominator. This is the difference between the previous problem and this problem, only this formula. And both the problems are one tail test. Now we will see one more example. Yeah. So in sampling, if the problems are very interesting, you have to just think for a second and then you can solve it very fast. In an examination given to us students at a large number of different schools, okay, the mean grade was 74.5 and standard deviation was 8. Now I think now you can clearly identify which formula you are going to use, because they have given standard deviation, they have given one mean. And now we'll see the next part. At one particular school where 200 students, so n is 200, took the exam and the mean grade was 75.9. This is the mean for 200 students and this is the general mean. Okay. So what you will do, you will take the difference between 74.5 and 75.9 in the numerator. As simple as that. When you are reading the problem itself, you can connect it. So discuss the significance of this result from the viewpoint of one tail test and two tail test. Here he has given clearly, you have to check for both one tail and two tail test. So coming to the solution, what is the null hypothesis? Null hypothesis, I am saying that the mean mu is 74.5. There is no change in the mean grade, that is what I am saying. What is the alternate hypothesis? It is not equal to 74.5. If I take a two tail test, it can be less than 74.5 or greater than 74.5. If they didn't mention anything, I will take only two tail test. in this question. So since they have asked one tail as well as two tail, we'll do for both. Okay, but the formula is the same. Difference by sigma by root n. We have taken the difference between the two means. Standard deviation is sigma is 8 divided by root n. Root n is root of 200. If you simplify this, you will get 2.475. So this is a tabular column that I gave in the first class, theory class, that I told you to memorize these values, if you remember. So this is the tabular column once again for one tail test, 1.645 plus or minus, and at 0.01 significance level, that is 1% level, 2.33. For two tail, 1.96 plus or minus, and this is plus or minus 2.58. Okay, now we will check this. We got 2.47, right? For one tail, 2.47 is greater than 1.645, greater than 2.33. So completely, if I take a one tail test, I am going to reject the hypothesis because both the values are greater. Now if you see two tail test, again 2.475 is greater than 1.96. We will reject the hypothesis at 5%. But here if you see at 1% significance level for this two tail test, 2.45 is less than 2.58. So only in two tail test at 1% significant level only we will not reject. In all the other three cases we will reject. It is something like the values are in the borderline. Let me draw the diagram. Yeah, now see only the diagram. This is the mean mu. This first value is 1.96. This value which is there, the line which is there in between is nothing but your value, that is 2.475. Okay. So in 1.96 it's outside the region, so we will reject it. But in 2.58, that is 99% area is covered, it is inside, so we will accept it. This is what happening graphically. So the calculated value is more than 1.645, reject. 2.33, reject. So we are rejecting at 5% and 1%, and 2.475 is greater than 1.96, so reject at 5%, but 2.58 when you see it, this 2.475 is less than 2.58, so we are going to accept only in this region. So we have to give the complete conclusion about it. So this is the conclusion. Hence we conclude that the difference in the mean grade is significant in these tests, but the same is not significant in the two-tailed test at 1% level of significance. So this is the idea. Now I think you'll get a good grip about one tail as well as two tail. Let me do one more question, and this question is there in your model question paper too. A stenographer claims that she can type 120 words per minute. Okay. Can we reject her claim on the basis of 100 trials in which she demonstrates a mean of 116 words with a standard deviation of 15 words? And he has clearly given use 5% level of significance. Okay. Now my question is this a one-tail test or a two-tail test? What is the null hypothesis? What is the given data? Think for a second. Now, given data you can write easily. N is 100. Okay. X bar is, that is the mean for those particular set of values. 100 trials is this. So we will write this as X bar. The other one we will write as mu. So X bar is 116. Standard deviation sigma is 15. You will write these three happily. Here comes the main picture. That is, I am saying that the mean mu is 120. This is what she claims. She claims that she can type 120 words. So I am saying, okay, I agree with you. Mu is equal to 120. This is my null hypothesis. What is the alternate hypothesis? Mu not equal to 120. Okay. So in this case, when I say not equal to, it can be less than, it can be greater than. Okay. So we'll use a two-tailed test. So two-tailed test means we'll compare the value with 1.96 and 2.58. So what is the formula? Modulus value, as I told you, I've written the modulus value. So the difference between the means divided by sigma by root n. So you got 2.67. So yeah, now it's visible. So 2.67 you got x bar minus mu by sigma by root n, and this value is greater than 1.96. So we reject the hypothesis H naught. So her claim is not correct. That's it. This solution is this. So what are the formulas we will use? X minus, that is the x minus mu by root of npq is one formula, and x bar minus mu by sigma by root n is another formula. So the numerator is the same. We will check the difference. We will write down the difference in the numerator. But in the denominator, in the first formula, I will show you that. If you see that this is the first formula, x bar minus mu by sigma. This mu is nothing but np and sigma is root of npq. So in this case np everything is given, but in the second one only standard deviation is given. So we used x bar minus mu, numerator is the same, by sigma by root n. So these are the problems in the test of significance of sample means. So we'll see more problems in other types. Meanwhile, you keep one thing in mind. If it's a one-tail test, we'll check 1.645 at 5% and 2.33 at 1%. And if it's a two-tail, 1.96 at 5% and 2.58 at the 1% significant level. So the moment you read the question, you have to fix whether it's a one-tail or two-tail, and then you can proceed. Formula is going to be the same, but the values that you're going to compare is going to differ. Yes, thank you.